Welcome Year 7 to our second learning prep flipped classroom presentation. What we're going to be doing today is sandpapers. Now you remember in class I said we will be taking notes for learning preparation on the various topics that we have to write our half-page reports on, and today we're going to start with sandpapers. Now I'll just remind everyone that if you don't take all the notes and you don't do your work, you won't be allowed to participate in the class. You'll also get notes in your diary, so make sure that you do the work. Okay. What is sandpaper? Sandpaper is a strong coated paper with a layer of sand or other abrasive used for smoothing or polishing. Now an abrasive is a rough material that is used to take off another material. Okay, there is different types of roughness or abrasiveness in sandpaper, and you need to make sure that you select the right one for what you're doing. Okay. Sandpaper grit. So sandpaper is measured by its grit size. This refers to the number of sharp particles on the paper per centimeter squared. The larger the grit size, the more edges there are, and the smoother the sandpaper. So this image is showing you what the back of sandpaper, that is 150 grit, looks like. And you'll see it's in big bold letters. And that's how you know the grit size of your sandpaper. Okay, there are different types of grits. Okay, and we'll go into more about this in class. And the more you use sandpaper, the more you'll learn, and you will be doing this throughout the production of our CO2 car. But you need to choose the right grit sandpaper for the particular job you're doing. For heavy sanding and stripping, so when you want to take off a lot of material, you need coarse sandpaper measuring 40 to 60 grit. Okay, for smoothing surfaces and removing small imperfections, choose 80 to 120 grit. Okay, for finishing, making it really smooth, use a superfine sandpaper with 360 to 600 grit. Many jobs, including our CO2 car, will require you to go through the grits. So what this is telling us is, you start off with a really high grit, so you're 60 to 80, and you start stripping back the material, and then by the end, what you do is you work your way up to a 300 grit, and what that does is it smooths it out and it gives you a really nice surface to work off. Okay, so sandpaper helps you to smoothen out your piece of timber to give you a nice smooth surface to paint. If you don't use sandpaper correctly, you'll find that your paint won't bond to your timber, and it will also give you an uneven finish. So what this is telling us is, if your material isn't smoothed out, your paint won't want to stick to it. You'll get lumps in your paint and it just won't look good. So the whole point of us using sandpaper is to get us to create a really nice product by the end, because as we did in term 1, we're looking for products that are aesthetically pleasing. Now, to apply it to our CO2 dragster, you'll use a number of different grit sandpapers to smoothen out your balsa wood and give the paint a nice smooth finish to bond to. Now remember, always sand with the grain, and what this means is, if you go against the timber grain, you will scratch your timber and cause damage to it. So you always go with the grain, and I'll do a demonstration in class about what that means, but make sure you include this in your report. Okay. Thanks for listening, guys, and I look forward to seeing all your notes on sandpaper.